Welcome back to the show, everybody. This is the Upper Tier Podcast, the pro wrestling podcast we bring you each and every week. It is Tuesday. It's Pro Wrestling Weekly, coming a day early because Sean is busy and it's suited Brent better. And guess what? We came to an agreement with Sean O'Rourke. He's not at the gorilla position anymore, holding us up for those 4 cans of Monster. He's on screen tonight, so there you go. Contract issues all resolved. So there we go. So if you could, folks, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification button, drop a like on the video. We've got a great show for you tonight. We're going to be taking a look back at the pipe bomb and how that has changed maybe the narrative around the farewell tour slightly or whatever it is. We'll see. We get the Cena, what would we call it? The Cena Fasciados here or whatever it is to tell us how they feel about it. And we're going to take a look back at Raw, obviously do our Raw recap. We're going to be looking at the card for Night of Champions. Obviously, we know the Dom match has come off it. Is it actually an injury? Or did he not fancy traveling to the war zone? Tribute to the troops and all that. We're going to be taking a look as well at giving you a kind of a selection of 6 wrestlers nationally. Who do you think was best on the mic, or give us who you think your choice is? We're also going to be talking about Mercedes Moné. Me and Brem were talking about it yesterday in the shop. Interesting views on that. Good to see our fourth cog in the wheel is here to big up that situation as well. Should be good debate. Just a little bit of news to bring you as well. I did get information off Simon out of TNA, and he's told me now that TNA Plus, if you don't know, has put in another tier, and it's free. So all you do is you sign up, log in, and you have access to some of the library and stuff like that. It's free. Showing Impact and stuff like that and everything else. And also big congratulations to TNA, 23 years going this week as well. Unbelievable. Who would have thought it when they first started out down in that square ring down in Nashville? Who would have thought that they'd reach the heights they've reached on a number of occasions? So congratulations all around to TNA. And if you get a chance, folks, head over to TNA Plus, download the app and get your free membership there. There you go. Right, Dino's in the chat. Is this the new 4 Podmen? Could be.
Essentially, yeah. Way better.
I have to be careful, Dino. You know, all that kind of thing, copyright laws and all that kind of thing. So yeah, you could say that. Maybe put a space between the pod and men, and we would be all right then. Yeah, might get away. And the 4 has to be the letters, not the number.
4 men in a pod.
There you go.
It's close. We'll get to that, I'm afraid.
That sounds a bit strange, but
you're overestimating how bad the show is.
It does. We also have some interesting history to deliver tonight as well. And we've got a couple of interesting birthdays, including one teacher.
I think I know who that is.
Matt Striker?
I have some guesses. Yeah, I was thinking.
Okay, sorry, because we don't know this beforehand. So yeah, there you go.
That's why I don't let you see the slides. The 4 Pod Egypts. There you go.
Great, Dino. I'll see you next
week.
That's probably more our level.
Right, I don't think there's any place really to start, but we were looking at this, the pipe bomb, and how it went down. And I've noticed as well, a point has been made, I seen it today on X, that literally we've had a table involvement in every episode, I think, of Raw and SmackDown since Slim Jim went on the tables. Some matches had tables involved in it on every single episode. So there you go. So table's the new flavor of the month. So Slim Jim playing handsomely for that location on that table there during this pipe bomb. Bren, start us off. John Cena pipe bomb.
Brilliant stuff. A few people call it, if you remember just not so long ago, a week ago, a few people were calling this heel turn stale. This lit this heel turn on fire. And the beautiful thing about this was he didn't lie. People have their own conspiracy theories. He's waving at the camera and they're like, well, if you look at the letters at the start of each name that he said, he's talking about the Young Bucks. That's a load of balls, that is. What that was a brilliantly done promo. And I was thinking, after I watched it, I was buzzing. I watched it again and I was like, this is the most exciting now that I've become or been for a Night of Champions since I don't remember when. I think we're in for something special at Night of Champions, and this promo was excellent. Not a lie was seen. Love the reference from the original pipe bomb, which they kept referencing, was 14 years ago, which is mental when you think about it. 14 years on, this is still being talked about, and I can tell you now, this promo from John Cena will be talked about in 14 years' time. One of the best I've seen, and I'm absolutely buzzing for Night of Champions. What did you think?
Well, I think in a time when there's a lot of war going on and stuff like that, the timing is perfect in terms of a pipe bomb, isn't it? But there you go. Sean Mack.
I agree with Bren. I just want to say, back in my day, when there was a Night of Champions, everyone in that company who had a belt defended it. So it's more Night, Champions. But if we're being honest, that's not the worst thing about this show. Going into the show is way worse, which I'm sure we'll touch on. But I thought this is really cool, and it's set up the same way that the pipe bomb, the original pipe bomb, the Punk did, was set up. John Cena was in a tables match with R-Truth. He got put through the table, and CM Punk let loose. John Cena was in a match with R-Truth. CM Punk got put through a Slim Jim table. We have to remember they're not the same. It's like Scott Steiner freaking a genetic freak. Slim Jim table's a genetic freak. You see, all tables are created equal, but then you put in the Slim Jim table. No,
it becomes a super table.
Yeah. And that gives a 25.3% chance of John Cena finally saving this farewell tour with something of substance. I think he stole a lot of Punk's lines, like, as you're sitting there, hopefully as uncomfortable. I was like, he's just going to say the thing word for word. But I like how he took aspects of Punk's but added his own stuff to it. Because he was in a similar situation to how Punk was back in the day. Punk wasn't on a retirement tour per se, but he was very much threatening to leave the company with their prize hostage and take it away from the only guy who is the only hope of keeping it, which would have been Cena. And I was there for that. I was sickened by it, as you can imagine, me being the redheaded stepchild member of the C Nation. So now that that's been flipped over on its head with Cena now being the aggressor, I think is a really cool touch. And I have heard people say that this has actually properly felt like the first time, I think since the promo in Brussels, that this retirement tour has actually meant something, has actually felt something. And it's a shame that the real world tragedy that is currently happening is kind of taken away from this match. Not taken away from it, but like we're more concerned about whether the show is going to go ahead or not, or if the talent are going to be safe, then who's going to win. So I just hope that we can that these two can have a good match. I think Punk and Cena, I'm not just saying this because I grew up with it, it is easily Jesus. Now we'll have to talk about that. Shane and Kurt Angle, absolutely insane. That's the real glass grimy river thing. Turns out that was very, 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 very real glass that doesn't break at all. And CM Punk was crying a river as John Cena was turning on him. And I wonder why he mentioned the names that he did. Nick Nemeth, Cardona, and Claudio. Is that because he's friends? Are we really buying this? YB means Young Bucks. Young Bucks to WWE confirmed. Bollocks that Bren was shooting down, rightfully so. Or was it just calling people? I think Cardona's the most interesting one because I think he's actively been trying to get back to the Fed for a long, long time now. But no, this is absolutely brilliant stuff by Cena. Just goes to show he is still as good as anyone on the mic. And I think he's definitely top 5 all time on that mic. And I hope that the excitement and passion that we have for this can translate into a very, very good match at Night of Champions. But we'll have to wait and see how that goes. But until then, this is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, I presume the 3 lads that he mentioned must have been a reference to when he talked about Punk stepping on people to get to where he wanted to get to or something like that. That's where I assume it came from. But we shall see. Sean O?
As both of the lads said there, this was beautifully done. Um, we've enjoyed John Cena's run as of late, but it was getting that bit boring. You could see maybe the fire was going out a bit. There was just a bit of a spark, and I think this really threw gas on the fire and reignited it. So I think this was a beautiful episode of SmackDown, and I think it was a perfect promo, perfect pipe bomb, and everything about it, in my opinion, was just cinema.
The only thing I would have changed is I probably would have liked them maybe to go up the ramp and get into the loudest position or something like that, or because I'm looking at him there. I don't know whether you watched it when you were watching the pipe bomb. He looked really uncomfortable sitting on those turnbuckles. It was nearly weird looking. He was like a budgie in a cage or something like that, sitting on a swing or something.
Your arse
you
would be
can see
stinging after that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'd imagine it was kind of uncomfortable because it goes on for a little bit and stuff like that. Or he could have even got into the loudest position over there in the corner, pulled a raven on us or something like that,
Same way sitting on a fence is uncomfortable. You ever do that like for a while?
Yeah.
And by the time you get off, your arse and your back legs are on fire.
Yeah. I'd imagine there was plenty of physio after that pipe bomb, all right, that's for sure. Right. Anything else you want to touch on SmackDown? Or are you okay? We head into Raw, or what you want?
It was actually a really good episode of SmackDown. But can we go back? I know we're going back to 2 hours, but can we go back to 2 hours, please, and forget about 3 hours SmackDown? And also,
he certainly thinks this is going to be a terrible pay-per-view, and they're only doing it for money. Thoughts?
Well, only doing it for money goes without saying. That's like saying there will probably be a wrestling ring in the middle of the venue for the. I think the card actually is probably one of the best out on paper anyway. Now it does hurt that we've lost AJ and Dominic, but I thought on paper is probably one of the best Saudi cards that WB have put on since they started treating them like actual shows and not just house shows in very, very large arenas for very bad men who are casuals and want Yokozuna to be resurrected Frankenstein style just to work in the 50-man Royal Rumble. But they treat them like actual shows now. Now, obviously, what's going on in the world is really hurting this show. There's even people saying that it shouldn't happen. I'm sure we all have our feelings on that. Yeah, we'll have to see. I really hope nothing goes wrong, but
I don't think there'll be an issue once you're inside Saudi Arabia. Because I don't think they would dare go anywhere near that place, or vengeance would be really felt. But I think the issue for me is if it was me traveling over, the issue would be there's a lot of missiles, there's a lot of stuff going on in these airwaves at the moment, and like whatever way, I don't know what flight path they take and stuff like that, but they're bound to have to come down through it at some stage, and that fear would be, the way they talk about the missiles and the warheads and all that kind of stuff, and they go, oh yeah, but these are quite precise and stuff like that, and then you see one that was, for a nuclear bunker that suddenly hits like a children's hospital or something like that, and you go, Jesus Christ, like, so that would be my only fear. If anyone's going to put the show on, WWE are going to put the show on, because they've shown in the past, even back in on their own ground and stuff like that, that they won't let wars or terrorism or any of this kind of stuff stop them from delivering what they want to do. They were one of few companies that continued on even through the pandemic and stuff like that, to continue to try and put out shows and entertain us and stuff like that as well. So, and lots of people have lots of different views on this and stuff like that. And I think apart from the money side of thing, I think a lot of WWE staff are already on the ground there, prepping and getting stuff ready and all that kind of stuff. So it's not like they're flying in Friday night for a Saturday night for a show and then back out and stuff like that. It's a slightly different context to it and stuff. There's a lot of prep work goes into it and stuff like that. No, ultimately the safety of all the WWE staff and wrestlers and everyone there obviously is paramount and stuff like that. But obviously, between consulting with Saudi Arabia and everyone else involved and all the security and stuff like that, they feel that they're in a position for it to go ahead. I don't think at times we should let things that go on in the world absolutely dictate and change the course of things unless it has to, and there's a real genuine threat there. But from listening to people today and over the last few days and stuff like that, God help either if they were to turn on someone like Saudi Arabia, because it would be hell and brimstone. There's no doubt about it. Opening Pyro could be Iranian missiles.
Oh my Jesus.
Jeez, can you imagine?
Oh Lord.
Cena versus Punk and Orton versus Cody Rhodes is the only thing worthwhile watching. The rest of the card is like a house show. I don't know about that.
Sami Zayn carrying Cross, even.
Yeah, maybe it is like a house show. Sorry.
No.
My opinion on it is that they should not be going ahead. Okay, that's fine. And I mean, everyone's entitled their opinion. Safety is the paramount thing, isn't it? Talent won't be left behind like before when Vince McMahon took money and flew back without them, and they were kept hostage for a couple of days. We were only talking about it the other day, remember?
Then we had the best
Yeah.
SmackDown of the year because they had to draft in loads of black and gold NXT talent at the last minute.
There you go.
Adam Cole, Daniel Bryan.
SmackDown takeover. There was no need to have Cody versus Randy in the final of the King of the Ring. Give it to Sammy.
No, disagree completely.
There we
Well, then
go.
who's going to wrestle carrying Cross?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
that. Like you've often heard me say, Sammy had his story, and Cody versus Randy is brilliant because they have something to start with. They've got the history behind them, and then when Cody wins this match, after that, when he's done, if he wins the belt or whatever, they have something to go back to as well as the history. So
What was that conversation today about carrying Cross not wanting the bump? Did anyone pick up on that?
I seen it on the Twitter machine or X machine, whatever it's called, and I sent it into the chat, obviously. And this person gave an example. I put the video in. This person gave an example, and to be fair, he didn't take a back bump. He kept moving forward. I doubt
Took a front bump off a drop kick. What?
it was weird. It was it looked very strange,
weird,
and
isn't
it looked very out of it just looked very out of sync. But yeah, I don't know if that's true. It couldn't be true.
It's part of the job description.
I just
Yeah.
Like, imagine he gets released and he goes on Helwan and he's like, so what happened last month? I said, I don't want to take a bump. And they let me go. Shame for company.
Great interview. Thanks for coming. Because that would be the end of it.
Didn't want to
Best of
follow
luck.
me.
Yeah, I think so. Dino's in there.
Go ahead, but it's too close for comfort. Yeah, but
absolutely.
like my understanding is TKO are in debt.
Yeah.
This show is worth 10 million to them. Again, I agree with Niall.
50,
Safety
50.
first.
50 million.
50 million. 50. Well, that changes everything. But either way, safety first. But look, like Sean was alluding to earlier on, it's wrestling business. You know what I mean? And unfortunately, as we've seen before, like Niall alluded to, the WWE will put on the show. If there's one company that will do it, it's them.
For the good and for the bad.
Yeah, and I'd say with Saudi Arabia as well, that they're going absolutely helter skelter at the moment with all these sporting events, boxing, UFC, wrestling, everything that's going on at the moment down there, football, everything. And like, I don't think they take too kindly to a big event being cancelled either because of Iran and Israel. They'd be saying, well, hang on a minute here, you know what I mean? They wouldn't be too happy, you know, like if, you know, you could imagine a situation maybe if France and Scandinavia were at war and something like that, and a big high-profile sports event was cancelled in Germany. I'm sure the Germans wouldn't be too happy about it and stuff like that and all, you know. So it's probably that side to it as well. But listen, the main thing is hopefully it goes ahead. Hopefully it's all peaceful. There's no issue and everyone gets back safe and sound and we just have a real good show. That's the main thing. So we'll come to it in a few minutes to get people's predictions as well. Also in the chat, folks, at the moment as well, if you could, this is what we're going to be asking tonight. Who do you think was the best on the mic? This is 6 examples in there. You can pick from that 6 if you want. If you don't want to pick from that 6, you can pick your own one, whoever you want to put in there. Who do you believe was the best on the mic? And I know this will kind of generate, well, hang on, and the golden era and the attitude era and whatever it is, and I'm sure we'll get multiple answers, but stick to one and say, can you give me one? Dissect it down. So in the chat there, folks, as well as us, we'll come to it as well and give you our ideas as well. So who was the best on the mic? Right, let's take a little bit of Raw, lads. Let's start off. Brent, kick us off. Seth Rollins.
Seth Rollins with the same kind of similar-ish promo that he's been doing week in, week out. In my opinion, making this vacant name group a little bit more stale. They need to do something. It, like even Breaker on his own is just getting a phenomenal reaction. If they don't do something soon to inject something into this group, they're going to have to take Breaker out and let Breaker go on a run or something like that, because to me, this group is doing nothing. This promo was just paint by numbers. It wasn't, it was just the same stuff that he's been saying every week. So I wasn't mad about this promo, to be fair. Now, the match following it was brilliant, but the promo itself, again, there's something missing with this group. It's weird because they have the ingredients. They have all of the ingredients in the world to be unbelievable, but there's just something missing. And it's the likes of the name, the music he goes in and out of, singing my song and all of that. It's a bit odd, and yeah, it's just not mixing for me.
Do you know what I think it is? And I was thinking about it over the last day or two as well. Just thinking about this faction and trying to think of a name or something that would kick it a bit. And it's a difficult one as well, because Braun Breaker was on such a trajectory before he joined this group. Like, he was one of those going to be breakout stars. And also Bronson Reed, prior to the injury, was on a real good trajectory as well. And it seems both these guys have come in, and it's like a little bit of this lost in translation, and it's kind of, I don't know. I can't put my finger on it at the moment. Look, you look at that Braun Breaker match with Penta and stuff like that. Hitting that spear mid movement and stuff like that is just insane. It's I can't imagine what it feels like. It must be just like a car hitting you or something. You know, and Penta's no slouch. Penta's not a small dude either. Like, but he absolutely unbended him in mid motion and stuff like that. And it was a heck of a thing. But I don't know. I just don't know. Sean Mack, what you're thinking on this, and obviously on that first match?
Well, I can tell you first things first. No one in that group knows how to play chess.
Deadly.
Yeah, it's like joke.
And even checkers might be a push.
Oh, checkers would be headbanging. Like, I agree that this group is kind of missing something. But saying that, I did actually like this promo. You know, it was Seth's typical thing. But then he made a very valid point. He said, "You cheer for CM Punk, and then this and this and this, and we change our alliances. We as fans every time we cheer some person." We get bored and we move on to another person, and the cycle continues. So I like how he's saying that, because he's not just saying, I want to change this company because I'm great. He's saying, I want to change this company because of you. And like, here's an example. And he's shown something that we're doing. Like, we're all hyped on Karrion Kross right now. Are we going to be hyped in a few months' time? Are we going to forget about him and move on to someone else? We're hyped about Penta right now. Same thing happened to him. Same thing happened to Braun Breaker. I don't know. But I think the thing that this group needs, Seth is holding that Money in the Bank briefcase. I think if he holds either the World Heavyweight Championship or the WWE Championship, I'd be more inclined to maybe say the WWE Championship that Cena has, because that's a bigger deal, I think, than the World Heavyweight Championship. That could help. But no, this is a really good promo. And I thought the match after with Braun Breaker and Penta was absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, they need to. Sean, what's your thoughts? They need to get rid of this case pretty quick, don't they?
Definitely. You know, obviously, if you look back at the Money in the Bank matches and winners, they've, you know, kind of held on to the briefcase for a while. Obviously, with Damian Priest winning, he held it for a good few months, didn't he? I think a year, maybe. Well, close enough to it. So I'm kind of hoping they don't do that with Seth. I'd like to see something a bit sooner. I'm kind of thinking maybe SummerSlam. Or actually, one thing we're not taking into account is Night of Champions. Obviously, he has the history with CM Punk. So, you know, could he screw Punk out of it at Night of Champions? That's a good question. So yeah, I'm excited to see will that happen, or what happens there, you know?
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting. Dano's asking as well, 2 new faces going at Night of Champions as well. Who we thinking they will be, lads? Any thoughts on that, lads?
I think Acer's put in a good comment there at the bottom. Ricky Starks is somebody that I would think about putting in there for sure. Or what's his new name?
Ricky Saints.
Saints.
Ricky Sins. Sorry, I
All
should be on
Saints.
top of that. And Ethan Page. To be honest, I think 2 people is a bit of an overkill. I think they probably just need 1 more. I don't think, because as it stands now, it's just not good in my opinion. So 2 people is a bit of an overkill. Anyway, can we skip to go? No,
We
that's
did.
not happening.
We did.
Did we? Right.
Well, I skipped it. You can put it in if you want.
You're all right. Sean, what were you gonna say there? When I said 2 people should join, you kind of nodded in disapproval.
Oh yeah.
Do you think 2 people is enough? Do you think more maybe, or where are we on that?
I think if we're at a stage where, as we're saying, we're not interested in this group, adding more people to it, 2 especially, I think is way too much. It's like, imagine you have a pot that's on fire, and you're not enjoying it. Instead of putting it out, you pour more petrol into it. It just gets worse, right?
Yes.
And this group hasn't nailed it with, I keep saying 4, but one of them is Paul Heyman, so realistically 3. They haven't hit with 3. They need to hit with 3 people before we move on to 4 people or
Agreed.
5 people. And I'm not sure. I think was it Ricky Saints and Ethan Page? Someone said.
Yeah.
I don't know about that. I think they're both very good and they can make it work. But Ricky Saints is kind of like charismatic in a goofy way, in a goofy, enjoyable way, which wouldn't fit the tone of this group. And Ethan Page is a bit of a schmuck. But again, like a schmuck you want to see get beaten up, like an entertaining one. And I don't think that fits the group. The group has to be serious.
The leader's a bit of a schmuck, isn't he?
Yeah,
And
but he's
goof.
also vicious and imposing. And I don't think either of them are, either Ricky Saints or Ethan Page. I don't know. Something has to happen in this group, I think. But then, like, there's times where groups are boring, and then someone gets added in, and they go another level. Like the Bloodline was incredible, the OG one, but there was a point where they were getting stale and a bit boring, and then they added Sami Zayn, and they were the best thing in the company again.
True.
So could someone potentially be added and get? I say again, I don't think this group were ever the best part of the company. They were never, like, since WrestleMania at least, never the reason people tuned in.
The SWO, the Set World Order.
I mean, that could work. It can't be worse than some of the
They can
names
have
we had
20
a few weeks ago.
members like WCW. Bring everyone in.
Yeah. It'll
I
probably
think
be
if-
division.
And then Braun can go off. Braun Breaker can go off, and he can create the Wolfpack version of it, and then go against each other and all.
The SWO Wolfpack.
Yeah. I think honestly, if people are going to show up at Night of Champions, I think it's going to be around the Jacob Fatu match, if anything. Because that Jacob Fatu match is crying for a couple of Samoans to hit the ring, isn't it?
Like who? Like JC Mateo is going to show up, and likely Jimmy Uso.
Zilla Fatu.
Zilla Fatu.
The Indies.
Hikuleo.
Oh yeah, Hikuleo's right.
Yeah, Hicko.
And surely we're due Roman back shortly, are we? As we're on the road to SummerSlam. Surely
He's traveling over there. Is he?
Roman likes that good Saudi Arabia money.
He does, doesn't he?
Sure, who doesn't?
Certainly does.
50 million to Cena get DQ'd with the belt.
Dave's going with Punk on the mic. I loved his straight edge society mic work, the pipe bomb, and even the initial AEW work.
Yes.
Good shout.
Great shout. Right, let's go down. A couple of qualifying matches that we'll take in. Obviously, Jade Cargill defeating Roxanne Perez, who apparently has the biggest loss record at the moment since the turn of the year. 19 losses in 2025 since she's come up. There you go.
Sad. It was a good match last night. I actually quite enjoyed it. I'd say it was one of my favourite bits of Raw. It was a nice, quick match. But is it just me, or have you kind of noticed that with the NXT call-ups, they had big pops and everyone enjoyed them in NXT, and now that they're on the main roster, they're just not getting any pops. Like with the exception of Stephanie Vaquer, obviously. But you look at the likes of Fraxium, Julia, Roxanne Perez, like they're doing good work on TV, but crowd-wise, obviously you don't expect them to get over for a while, but you expect them to get at least a bit of a pop, you know?
Yeah. Well, Roxanne has been. She came up with Julia in a uninteresting tag team against Rhea Ripley, and now she's part of the Judgment Day, and we've spoken at length how bad they are. I'll just say, you can't hang around with someone that the IWC has called Pin Balor, and then get surprised when you lose 19 matches. I'm just throwing that out there. And Jay Cargill especially, someone.
Something going in there that's catching. Is there something catching? Is there?
Yeah, starting to sense a theme.
Well, Dom has been picking up the win, so
that's Dom.
Yeah.
He's the
Yeah.
handsome, popular one with the belt.
There we go. Keith's in. Niall. Dave comes as Dave Armstrong. Oh, Dave. Big shout out, Dave. Love you, man. Good to see you in there. Cheers. Thanks for joining us, pal. Love to see you in there. Absolutely. Dave's an old friend from back in the day and stuff like that with Keith as well in the shop.
Class.
Big Sons
Nice
of
one.
Anarchy fans. Big Sons of Anarchy fans. Big shout out to Dave, folks. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I think Sean O was pointing. I'm just saying, don't hang around with a man who hasn't won a match since the Stone Age and then be upset when you lose. Back to Sean.
Tell us this. Are we sold on Jay Cargill, lads?
Not
He's
yet.
improved.
Yeah.
Not
Improved
yet.
in ring tonight, or not tonight, last night. I'm still not.
You know what
fully there.
You know what I think the biggest issue with the match last night was, and I agree with Sean. It was a good match, but I think the issue was time. I think that match went on a bit long for the two competitors that were in it. Jade Cargill needs a bit more time. Now, I don't think she should need a bit more time, but I think she does. Her entrance was deadly. How she comes out was class. She cut a cool promo recently as well. But I think, look, she's only going to get better. Are we there yet with Jade Cargill? For me personally, we're not. And this match for me was a bit, it was good, but like, it just went on too long, didn't it? That's just my opinion.
Do you know what it is? I think they're dropping the ball on the booking of Jade Cargill. I think they should be booking her nearly Goldberg as like a destroyer. That she just goes out and destroys these girls, gets the job done, and leaves. I think when you start getting into the real meat and gravy of a wrestling technical kind of match, I think it gets lost. I think she has all the power moves in the world, but I think the transitions and the way it moves around and stuff like that at times can get a little bit clunky and stuff like that. I think they should just book her in real short matches and present her as a destroyer. And I think that might work a little bit better for her as well and get her a little bit more over. As you said, Brem, when the match starts to go on and people then start to analyze transition after transition, how the match moves and stuff like that, no, that's where it's getting a little bit lost in the wash for me, you know. Sean, anything else on that one?
No, I think it was a good match, other than the fact at the end you could see Jessica Carr move Jade Cargill's foot out of the way to make sure Roxanne's shoulder was down. The camera was clearly facing that. Other than that, though, and the match being a bit clunky, it was still quite enjoyable. I still enjoyed it, so yeah.
And actually very good by the ref to do that, because if the ref didn't do that, people would be coming on going, oh, the shoulder wasn't down and all this kind of thing on, you know. So, Sean, we're going to stay with you because we've got a women's flavour here going on here. Women's Intercontinental Champion Becky Lynch defeating Bayley via disqualification. Talk to me.
Once again, just another moment I don't know how to feel about. Obviously, Becky and Lyra, we talk about this week after week how much I love both of them. Interested to see how they can fit all three women into the story. I presume it'll end in a triple threat for the title. But yeah, I kind of like the way they're presenting Becky. Even though she's in the mid-card title scene, they're still presenting her as a top dog and, coming out. You can definitely tell she's Seth Rollins' husband anyway, with the big fancy outfits and the fur coats and glasses. And also one thing I noticed is that she doesn't have her own custom side plates on the title yet. So we're probably getting new side plates. I like myself a nice pair of side plates, so we'll have to see. But back to the match tonight, or last night, sorry. Yeah, it was good. It was interesting. I kind of wasn't expecting that ending. So yeah, excited to see how it goes, where it goes from here. it's up from here, hopefully.
Yeah, I think Ace was saying Jay Cargill's got awful after 5 years. I think 5 years is a stretch as well, because obviously, you know, you can talk about her time in AEW and how she came through that, and then there was a lot of wait out time, and you know, I think there was 1 or 2 injuries as well she was out with as well. And then I think when you come into WWE as well, they have a kind of a certain way of working that TV style and stuff like that. That kind of, you have to nearly go back and re-educate yourself as well. And that's why they take such time and care in bringing people up and stuff like that, you know what I mean? So 5 years, I don't think really tells the story, you know. Triple threat at Evolution 2 Intercontinental Championship. Interesting.
Yeah, that's
I think so, yeah.
where we're going.
Becky will lose to Eva at SummerSlam.
Who?
Yeah. Who's the Eva?
To be honest, I thought the result of this match was never in doubt, and we all agreed on the result of this match last week. We knew it was going to be a DQ, and I actually think this make Lyra look a bit silly. Based on how the disqualification went ahead. So I wasn't mad about the end. And the match itself was okay, but like, I mean, the ending in itself and how it was going to end was never in doubt. And I think, yeah, I think it leads on to a triple threat match as well, but that's just what I think, isn't it?
Everest, I have no idea. I haven't even seen it, but I'll look at it and we can have a chat about it on Thursday. I'm not too sure. I'd imagine it wouldn't, because they're all run as separate entities, the women's team and the men's teams and stuff like that and all. Like, that's, you know, so I would doubt it. But I don't know. It depends on what the rules and why they were relegated and stuff like that. No idea. Keith, I don't see Raquel Rodriguez lasting in the WWE. When they get rid of the Judgment Day, she's god awful. There's a lot of god awfuls tonight, isn't there? Raquel
negative.
Rodriguez and Roxanne Perez ambushed Rhea Ripley. We got ourselves another Slim Jim table. There you go.
Yes.
I love Slim Jim table breaks.
You love to see it.
Devon, get the Slim Jim table.
It's the only reason I tune in now is those Slim Jim tables.
Yeah,
they're the biggest draw on Raw.
What they should have done was they should have put Slim Jim branding on the tables, but what they should have done was took the gimmick tables away and have them real tables that don't break, because they're Slim Jim tables. You know, so.
But then how would you then? Because it's a snap into a Slim Jim.
Yeah.
Snap and get seriously injured off a Slim Jim.
Hot stuff.
Yeah. I have 2 of them up there. I have 2 Macho Man ones up there in a bus, but I haven't opened them.
No.
I don't think they'd be something like these. I don't think I'd like it, to be honest.
What are they?
What is it?
Like
What is
it's dehydrated beef sticks.
Yeah, I think
Pepperoni
it's like a kind of beef jerky or something, is it, or something like that?
pepperoni.
And
Or
it's like,
pepperoni,
yeah.
I think Sean was saying there.
Yeah. I mean,
It doesn't look like what you would expect meat to look like. So normally that's what I go by, you know.
I'm a chef. I should know.
Yeah,
You'd think I'd know better.
Yeah, Sean, come on.
Yeah.
That's your homework for next week. We want to know.
I don't do homework. I didn't do homework. I didn't do it in school. I'm not going to start now.
What?
Side of roast duck with glazed Slim Jim.
You've a lot of making up to do this week, by the way.
I really do.
Your diva segment's coming up.
Yeah. Rhea Ripley. Yeah, and then we rounded out with the King of the Ring semi-final. Obviously, Cody Rhodes defeating Jey Uso, who's going to meet now Randy Orton. What did we make of the main event?
Class. I loved it. I thought the 2 lads, Cody looked crisp and Jay looked deadly. Overall, this was deadly, and like I said earlier on, right man won because of how their stories are going to progress. And one of the things I was thinking when I seen Cody win was, I know somebody that's going to be delighted with Jay not going through. Sean, that was yourself.
Yeesh, yeah.
Yeah, no, I loved it. What did you think?
I barely get through Jey Uso's entrance once, so having to start again, like I think someone mentioned our old friend Gulpiss there, it makes me want to loaf my head into the wall. No, there's no way I could see them having Jay A, beat Cody, but B, being back in title contention so soon after dropping to Big Daddy Walter. But I thought this was a really good match between friends, wrestling friends. The respect was there. Like everyone, I don't think it was in doubt that Cody was going to lose or not lose, was going to win. Excuse me. But the match is still pretty competitive. Just a chess match, and that's what you need. I think that can be just as, speaking chess, or as Seth Rollins say, a checkers match, or a board with the medieval pieces that you push and you take the match. But no, really, really good main event to a pretty damn good episode of Raw. I don't know what it was about this episode, but I actually found it very solid. A go home show for Night of Champions.
Yeah.
But I really hope that, as Niall said, that everyone can get there safe, come home safe. It was hopefully they can go home. Literally, this is the go home show, and hopefully they can go home safe.
It felt like a show that was structured around it, had a number of goals to achieve, and it just ticked those boxes and gave us a wrestling show, and that was it basically. I tell Romy, I do love a good Twinkie. I tell you, they are savage. Walmart. Oh.
Why would you? Nail it to a wall.
Yeah.
That would
Just
be
to
good.
kind of touch on. Sorry, Sean.
You know the way they
Go
do
ahead.
these shameless ads for their sponsors? They could do Goldberg coming out and loafing his head into the wall, but it's actually a wall with a Twinkie in it.
Yeah. Loud
He
of
goes,
ding dongs.
I love Twinkies and Twinkies, you're next or something.
Yeah. And Slim Jim sprayed on his back. You know, like the way they used to do that. Yeah.
He'll be
Or
like a
take
UFC.
Take out the
tons-
gimmick door and tell him that's the door you're supposed to loaf, and put a real mahogany door in. So you can just knock it down.
Jesus Christ.
Are they still
Imagine.
sponsored by Snickers?
Listen, whatever floats your boat.
Yeah,
anyone,
because
they'll bring
remember
up anyone.
they do the ads
Mm.
where I can't even remember WB one, but they did one with Mr. Bean. He's flying around with ninjas. And he's like, "Hey man, you're not you when you're hungry.
Yeah,
Eat Snickers." And then he's like normal. They should do a thing where like Gunther's there. He's like, "Hey Gunther, you're not you when you're hungry. Eat a Snickers." And then it's Goldberg. Or they could do Bret Hart. "Hey Bret, you're not you when you're hungry. Have a Snickers." And then turn out to be our friend Gulpiss.
You know what word tonight? Comment section tonight. There you go.
We normally get those
Cocaine
comments
Khan
anyways.
Could be introduced with women's tag titles. That they need to just.
I don't think
Sure,
AEW
Sasha Banks
knows.
will end up winning them anyway. He just give them to Sasha Banks. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
on our own. Right,
Yeah.
let's blend in nicely then into Night of Champions and get people's predictions. Give us your predictions in the chat, folks. Night of Champions coming at you this Saturday. Nice to have it's an early show as well, isn't it? So
Yes,
6
it
p.m.
is.
but it'll be 7 for me. Sadly, I'll be away.
Beautiful.
Be an hour
Absolutely
ahead.
beautiful. I love when this happens.
fantastic.
I'm working.
You're going to be
Right.
you're going to miss that street fight.
Yeah.
I just handed my notice standing there.
And me and Bran are sending you spoilers all night long.
I was just going to say.
Because
You
of
know
this
what?
last
I'll be-
week.
I'll be in the middle of food and I'll be scrolling through Twitter at the same time, reloading the page every 2 minutes.
Same day, like, spoilers are for kids.
Just stick it on in the
There you go.
restaurant and everybody to chill their knickers.
Yeah,
You're watching
That's
something.
it.
Can you imagine someone on a romantic date and they get to see the? Imagine going on a date and you get to see Sami Zayn versus Karrion Kross. I mean, how could your life get better?
It can't.
I would propose. Date number 1, I would propose. There you go. Will you marry me? I shouldn't say that on
Do you
air.
remember the Jeffrey Dahmer show where he's like, "We're going to relax. We're going to watch a movie. We're
Yeah.
going to have a good time. We're going to relax. We're going to watch Night Champions Saudi Arabia and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia on Netflix, and you're going to like it,
Yeah.
and you're not going to leave."
SmackDown early on Friday night as well.
Yes, and Raw is early next week. It's on at 11 o'clock our time. I don't know why. It's starting 2 hours earlier than normal, so Raw will be at 11 o'clock on Netflix.
It's
Just let you know.
tremendous.
Well, a couple of the shows are pre-recorded, aren't they?
I think, yeah.
Because of
Yeah.
the trip, anyway. Yes.
The trip and also the trip, if you know what I
I'll
mean.
be at the pub with the lads. I wouldn't watch Cena if he was doing handstands in the street. I want absolute proof. I want proof of this. If you're going to the pub and you're not watching this around me, I want proof that you didn't bring your phone. Because if you brought your phone, you're going to
Yeah.
be checking the results. So don't lie.
I'm going
just
to
watching it.
ruin pub street gymnastics
There
for
we go.
everyone.
Keith is in. Cody, Jade, John Cena, Jacob, Rhea, Sammy, all winners. Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, for the most part, I agree with that. I'm a little skeptical about the Queen of the Ring because obviously they could put it on Jade and show, look, she's really good at wrestling, guys. Please stop being mean to her. She's really good at wrestling. But then Asuka's really hot and she's just come back. Wouldn't it be a really good way to cement her coming back? I think people forget about this. With the King of the Ring, there's actually a title shot at SummerSlam for the respective brand. Yep. So it's not just an ickle crown and a little scepter that you have to go around with all the time. There's actually something of substance and value here.
And change your gimmick completely.
Yeah. Queen Asuka.
Look at
Queen
this guy.
Jade.
This guy talking up a Saudi Arabian show, yeah? There's jeopardy to this time round.
Yeah.
Raw will be double show because of 4th of July week after. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, okay.
Interesting. There we go. After a few Guinness, I'll have eyes like the fella from Mr. Deeds. No chance I'll watch. You won't watch, but you'll check the results. Don't lie.
And you'll be back.
And all is in there.
And you'll be back next week to see our preview.
Okay. Sean O, who are you picking? Give us your 6 picks.
I'm going to go with Randy Orton. I do. I feel like he was done at dishonesty last year. So hopefully he can get it this year. I wouldn't mind if Cody wins though, but my pick is Randy. Jade and Asuka. I gotta go with Jade. As Sean said, Asuka's hot at the moment, but I feel like before she left, every time I looked at her, she had a title. So I'd like to see Jade get a title. Cena and Punk, probably the one I think we're all most excited for. Got to go with Cena. Jacob and Solo. Jacob. Don't like Solo. Don't ask me why. We'll be here for a while. Sammy and Karrion. Got to go Karrion Kross. He's hot at the moment as well. Fans love him. So do I. So Karrion it is. And Raquel and Rhea. Jeez, I couldn't care about this match if I'm being dead honest. But
the women's wrestling fan.
Jesus. Shudder just went through the women's division.
We should have. You're
not gonna find
the old reliable of the podcast is deserting us.
Where's the rage meter when you want it? I know. You take a week off, it all goes to so let's go Rhea, the obvious pick. So yeah.
Nice. Yeah, Ace is in. Asuka versus Io Sky at SummerSlam.
No, Leo Sky. I think she's someone from Evolve being brought in.
Leo Sky. Leo Rush.
That'd be a good name for Monty if he came back.
Buzzing that Cross is on the show. He is awesome. He is awesome, but is he awesome enough to pick up the win?
Well, one thing we're going to find out is whether he can do a back bump. I've heard he can.
I reckon
this will answer every question that we have.
I reckon if Sammy knocks him on his arse, that's it. He's done.
Yeah. I reckon if he takes a back bump, the crowd will just cheer for it, won't they? They'll cheer for all the back bumps.
What if he does his best to avoid taking bumps or avoid being on the ground? He does his whole entrance like standing up and then... Oh, by the way, I know that because I watched the show. Nothing else, I promise.
There you go.
Good name.
Punk will have Larry in Saudi headgear celebrating that oil money. Good Lord.
Oh, man.
Right. Sean, did you give us your picks now?
I don't think so. No.
Fire down
so I think Sammy will beat Karrion Kross.
And
Karrion Kross will become more unhinged. But it'll be a standing submission because Karrion Kross will not lay down because he won't take a back bump.
You'd wonder how he's going to pin him.
He's got, I don't know, vision.
Roll up.
Puts his foot on him.
How'd you hook the leg of a standing man?
You find a way. No, he'll do like the big man pin where the guy's on the ground and he puts his foot on him like a stump. And I don't know. No, I like Karrion Kross a lot. I'm very happy that he's had this renaissance of popularity. I think the story still has some aspects to be told. Rhea and Rhea and Raquel. Just like
Yep.
Sean, I am a beacon of supporting women's wrestling, as seen by the shirt representing the best women's wrestler of all time, Andy Kaufman.
Yes.
So, but now I think the street fight element could make it a bit more enjoyable. Like if this is just a singles match, this would be never mind the piss break. I'd lock myself in the toilet and just wait until the show's over. But I think Rhea Ripley will probably win this. Judgment Day could possibly interfere. Maybe Roxanne could show up. But I don't see it being enough to beat. So Rhea, and then Solo and Jacob. I think we will have a new, taller, intimidating member of the family screaming, "I love you, Solo," and that will be Hikuleo. Now that you mentioned it, I think that's a really good idea because he's down a member, isn't he? Because Tangaloa couldn't find his arse with two hands. Tamatonga's injured. Jacob Fatu's gone. JC Mateo's the only one that's there. So Hikuleo would be a very good indication. But it'll probably be Tangaloa, won't it? But I see Jacob retaining. I see CM Punk's next, but I'll leave that till it's because it's main event. Jade and Asuka, like I said, for a mid-card title, I think it'd be better for maybe Asuka. Randy has had a great year, beloved by the fans, had that great match with Cena, and actually, he was actually, I think, runner-up for the King of the Ring last year. Lost to Gunther. So a great year for Randy. So obviously, I think Cody's going to pin him with botch pouring. Yeah, my brother showed me this meme, and it was you asked Tongalo to set up your Halloween lights, and it was like like the president's house, all the Christmas lights there. I'm like, it's true. Like, he'd be the type of fella to sue a sports team for getting injured at a match because he fell out of the tree watching the game. All the Cav, I've booked Cavman jokes. You could easily replace them with Tangalo, and you could definitely.
There we go.
But then, yeah, I think, as I said, Randy's had a great year. I think he's going to have an even better year. So Cody's going to pin him naturally. Then the main event, we're going to John Cena by ruining wrestling.
Yeah.
I don't know how. I would hope. I said I really enjoyed Randy and think surely to God, CM Punk can pull a good match out of him. And the atmosphere in Saudi, I'd imagine this is like all their hopes and dreams. Punk, but John Cena especially. I've seen John Cena Facebook groups in India that are dedicated purely to John Cena. If the man walked on water, they'd probably think that he was actually the second coming to Christ. And I mean, fair enough. I mean, what can't the man do? Have a good match in this tour, sadly. So hopefully that changes. But I don't see Punk winning. I see John Cena winning by. I just hope he actually wins with something, and not the belt, not a kick to his CM junk. Certainly, no rappers. I mean, if we were going to leave anyone in the country, I'd be fine if it was Travis Scott. Forget about him. There's no way that's going to happen though.
Almost went a week.
Yeah, atmosphere in Saudi for a better atmosphere at a wake. Well, not anymore because they treat them like big shows. They have these stars. Back in the day, I think it was Super Showdown. I can't remember the match, but they had a front row. And typically, when something happens, something big, like for example, Karrion Kross taking the back bump, they cut to the crowd. So the crowd were like, "Oh my god!" But when they kept cutting to the kids through the front row, they were sitting on couches on their phones the whole time. But that's not the case anymore because it's not a hey, we're trying to make our country better. Here's wrestling. It's they're doing a show here, and we've been here loads of times. You know who the people are. You watch the product. It's a big part of Riyadh season. Same thing with UFC and boxing. That's becoming a huge part. But I think Cena will win. I don't know when the belt's coming off him. Won't be tonight. This is a really good card on paper. I would much rather everyone get home safe than John Cena having a good match. If I'm being honest, I don't think any match in this card is worth the health and safety of the wrestlers traveling over or the fans. I was going to say fans traveling internationally. There is no way anyone outside of Saudi is going to this. Can you imagine like the people who camp outside looking for WrestleMania tickets and they can't get WrestleMania tickets, but they go to Saudi instead? Then they go, I can't wait to have a pint and watch the. Oh, never mind. Maybe I'll have a bacon sandwich. Never mind. I don't know if anyone will travel for this outside Saudi. But no, I really hope it's a good show. I love these afternoon shows in Saudi. That's the one thing I've always said about them, even when they were at their worst. It's nice to just have a show in the afternoon. And hopefully it is a good one. Night Champions last year, I think, was actually a very good show. So hopefully it delivers, and hopefully John Cena can continue his streak of perfectly fine, but maybe not quite there matches with Chubby Monkey Punk. And hopefully we'll have enough to talk about next week.
Brian, in the words of Jericho, save us. Give us your picks. Does anyone feel that CM Punk has any chance here of winning the belt?
I don't, but I'll get to that.
No.
In terms of, and I'll fly through it as well, because I know we've a couple of other things too. So, in terms of the Sammy and Karrion Kross, I think during that match we're going to find out whether Karrion Kross's contract is actually running out or whether he's going to sign another contract. Either it'll be one way or the other. I think Sammy's going over, but I think it'll either be a complete walkover, a complete squash, or it'll be a competitive match. And if Sammy wins, Kross going nuts at the end and maybe injuring him for a few weeks. I don't know. But either way, Sammy's the pick there. Rhea Ripley, Sammy screws Punk. That makes sense. Actually, Rhea and I think Rhea's winning. Yeah, I think Rhea's winning that match. I think it'll be inadvertently the Judgment Day will get involved and they'll inadvertently cause Rhea to win. And I think hopefully that will then start the official breakup of that. What have we got there? Cena better watch being in Saudi. They'll mistake his ball patch for a target. That's harsh. He's got work done and he has a great head of hair now.
Yeah, he's got a transplant.
100%. I think Jacob is going over there. I think, there'll be a couple more Samoans, but on the flip side, they might want to minimize the amount of people going over there. So maybe Jacob goes over and then they can continue it on then a few days later. I'm going to go with Jade Cargill going over Asuka. I think it makes sense. Why not? I'm going to go with Cody. Cody's beating Orton. He's beating Orton, and I think Orton's going to flip the lid and maybe kick him in the head. I don't know. Either way, he's going to flip the lid. CM Punk and John Cena. John Cena's winning this, but I think something special is going to happen. I alluded to it earlier on. I have a good feeling about this. Now, I hope I'm not on here next week saying, well, that was brutal anyway. If a certain rapper shows up, I will cancel my Netflix subscription and I'll get me results from now on a website. I want nothing to do with that guy at all. If that certain rapper with that worst song that I've ever heard in my life shows up, but I think Cena's winning and I think we're in for something special. I don't know what it is and I don't know where it's going to go, but I'm very, very excited about this. What say you, Niall?
Yeah, I'm kind of wishes on it. I think Cody will pick up the win. I think Jade will pick up the win because they want to create that wave on her at the moment. Jacob will retain, but like I said, I think a few people might get involved in that, and I wouldn't be surprised if Roman Reigns shows up. I know he's beloved, as they say, in Saudi Arabia and stuff like that. It would make a big feel to the show. I think Sammy picks up the win here. I'm not against Kross winning. Obviously, people know my views on Sami Zayn and stuff like that and all, but I think Sammy ends up picking up the win because I think they'll start to build Sammy now towards the back end of the year, and people are putting his name on the 2026 Royal Rumble, so I wouldn't be surprised. Rhea picks up the win, I think, against Raquel. I think, again, you might get a little bit of Judgment Day hokery or something like that getting involved. Rhea picks up the win. I think she needs it too as well. I think since she's come back and stuff like that, it's kind of been a little bit hit and miss, to be honest. And then we rounded out with the main event. John Cena versus CM Punk. Probably leaning towards John Cena retaining and taking the belt away. But with CM Punk, you just never know what way they might book it. I don't think we'll get Rollins being involved because I think they might save that for the following week for Saturday night's main event or whatever it is. I think if they use it here, then we have a bigger problem when we're looking down the barrel of Gunther and Goldberg at Saturday night's main event and we ain't got a briefcase. We're going to have a problem then, aren't we? So that's how I'm seeing it at the moment. Yeah, so that's it. Saturday night's main event. Incoming, I shall Spade in a prime outfit. Possibly. Who knows?
He's a good crash test dummy.
Yeah, absolutely. Keep on letting us know, folks. Who do you think? Who's your pick for best on the mic as well? And we'll get the lads as well. Starting with Sean O. What do you think? Who's your guy? Doesn't have to be one of those six. Remember now, it can be anyone you want to pick.
This is a tough one. Cena and The Rock are both tied for me. In their prime, the mic walk was phenomenal. The two of them knew exactly what they were doing, and it was perfect. But I think I might lean a bit more towards The Rock. I think the way his whole kind of feud with Stephanie McMahon, I think, really stood out to me. I liked his little hiccups with her, and yeah, I think he was probably the better person on the mic.
Maybe Samuel Troop Jackson gets involved in the Cena match.
Tremendous.
Oh, I love it.
I love his Suzuki haircut, by the way. Does
Mick
he look
Foley.
a bit like Norris?
Dark horse on the mic. Mick Foley for Keith. Let us know in the chat, folks. What you think? Best on the mic. Who is the best on the mic? Sean Mack.
Mick Foley's a great shout. That Kane Dewey promo that you did in ECW was probably one of the best ones ever. I mean, anyone on the screen here is fine, I think. But John Cena is the only one who had to say, "Bologna, fudge, and mustard, my life has been ruined by the internet," and live to tell the tale. So for that, he should be the GOAT. But also, the thing I like about Cena, I noticed it more so in his later years. Some of his lines are funny. You know, like The Rock can say funny lines, like funny little digs. And then Cena can give you the "I'm not angry, I'm just disappointed," which is way worse. A good example of that is when he was with Austin Theory. And Austin Theory gave him this big thing about, "Oh, you're bald, and why would you not want to do that?" Instead of saying, "Oh yeah, well, you've got funny glasses," or "Oh yeah, well, you're too small," he said, "I would much rather be bald than have them pipe in fake crowd noise for my matches because nobody cares." That hits you on a number of levels, and that's way worse than him saying, "Yeah, well, you're fat," or whatever. So Cena for that. Ric Flair, yeah, like the promos where he's covered in blood and screaming his head off are brilliant. Jericho's great. Punk, I mean, I don't even have to sit here and tell you about Punk, tell you how good he is. Austin as well. The only thing about Austin is he made the "what" chant, which unfortunately still lives very well. It's one of the few things he's left us. They annoy me a lot. The Rock as well. But The Rock's like, people who don't even watch wrestling know The Rock for being charismatic. Maybe not if you watch his films, but they know him for being a character. And that all started, that based was from his promos. So The Rock, Mick Foley, there's way more. Shawn Michaels was great. Triple H was always great. I'm just looking at my posters. Maybe not Roman Reigns per se. Yeah, Mick Foley. I saw Enzo behind me, although I think he would have been better suited as a manager than a wrestler.
Sorry.
Here's a really good one for you. Go vintage Joel Gertner. His poems. I can't repeat any of them because they're so disgusting and sexual. But look them up. They're absolutely incredible. Well. The sexual, intellectual, quintessential stud muffin. Like how he came up with that stuff on the fly. He would always be with the biggest heels. Like he'd be with the Dudley Boys. And they'd be getting like terrible boos, you'd imagine. And then he'd open his mouth and the crowd would light up and start chanting his name. I mean, that's absolutely incredible to have. Taz as well. I only knew Taz as a commentator, but seeing his ECW stuff was mad. Like he was a savage in ECW. There's loads more I could choose from, but isn't it amazing how we have such a list to choose from, but we also don't. The ring, being good in ring is half of the work, I think. But when you're good on the mic, it puts you above. Like imagine any of these people on screen right now: Cena, Ric Flair, Jericho, Punk, Stone Cold, The Rock. Imagine they've never said anything in their life. take away the microphone, what do you have? You have good
Mm.
wrestlers. But then you have I Need to Beat You Rock More Than You Could Ever Know. You have the pipe bomb. You have the pipe bomb. See his pipe bomb.
Like bombs.
Yeah, pipe bombs and everything else that the other guys did, and they become legends. They become
Diamonds Are
icons.
Forever.
Diamonds Are Forever. Yeah, I can't believe that went out of my head. I watched that today. Yeah, I'm too busy on this holiday lark and thinking of Slim Jim tables to focus. But no, everyone here is really, really good. Everyone here. It all depends on.
Remember the Jericho one with Fandango and Dingo Dango and all.
Fandango, yeah. And he
Jericho was
hated that and made it
Jericho's
work.
great. Jericho's definitely one of the best of all time. Hands down.
Do you remember he was talking to Stephanie McMahon and Rhino? He
Mm.
said, "What I'm going to do is take out that fat, greasy, smelly hog. I'm going to get you two, Rhino." And Jerry Lawler did his infamous squeal in horror. I can't believe it, Jericho. No, Jericho's absolutely. Everyone here is great. There's no one, and Jake the Snake had a very different style than most of these people. Like most of these people are kind of energetic, but he was just slow and boding, and that was so intimidating. That's what made Jake the Snake such a force director.
Netflix dark web area.
Yeah.
Way worse.
In a world full of shouters, Jake the Snake whispered, and you listened, and that was the best thing about it. And he scared the bejesus out of you when you watched it back then.
He had a snake.
Did.
He carried snakes in a bag. I mean, if you never even seen the guy before, just seeing that would make you run.
Bran?
So I thought about this, and for me, like, first of all, I think we can all agree that the best performers on the planet are wrestlers. Well, in my opinion, anyway, because they do it every night and they do it live. They are the best. Nobody does it better than them. Certainly an argument to be made for all of them, but I love Dusty Rhodes and I love Rowdy Roddy Piper, and them two on the microphone, absolutely incredible. To me, them two are tied at the greatest of all time. Because I was going, because I knew we were going to talk about this since the other day, and it's not a bad show, but I guess you should have put him in the graphic. But when I thought about it, first person to come to me head was honestly Rowdy Roddy Piper, but then thinking more about it, it's Piper or Dusty Rhodes. And look, a lot of people I know would say The Rock all round, because when you look at compilations on YouTube, if you were to look at a compilation of all of them, maybe The Rocks would tickle your fancy more than the rest of them. But in my opinion, I've got two DVDs at home. Of one is a Dusty Rhodes DVD, and obviously the other is the Ric Flair DVD, and they have the extra features of the promos. I used to watch them religiously. Still to this day, quoted time and time again, the greatest promo people of all time is Dusty Rhodes, Rowdy Roddy Piper, in my opinion. So that's where I lie with that, Niall. What do you think yourself?
Yeah, hard to argue, Keith. There, 3 great picks. Yeah. No, for me, my two aren't on it. Dusty Rhodes has always been my guy, in terms of promos and stuff like that. But also, of course, the Macho Man, who I thought was absolutely outstanding on the mic, and just the intensity and everything that he brought to it and stuff like that was just absolutely insane. So for me, it's always been Dusty Rhodes and the Macho Man. They always brought a realism to it. That connected with me and stuff like that, and also they were my two for the mics. Yeah, so there you go.
Can I just ask, who in your opinion was the worst on the mic? Now, I don't like to talk about a negative, but when you mentioned Randy Savage, and I don't like to talk ill of the dead, and you probably know where I'm going with this, I thought about Ultimate Warrior, right? And his promos were out there, and I don't even think they were necessarily bad. As a child, it was like, this guy's a maniac. But in terms of when we look back today, like we look at Dusty Rhodes and we can agree, unbelievable. But when I look back at some of those promos by Warrior, they don't really stand the test of time, those ones. And a couple of Hulk Hogan ones as well definitely don't stand the test of time.
No.
You know what I mean? So, look, I don't like to look at the negatives. So just when you said Randy Savage, which is a great show, for some reason, the Warrior came into my mind. Not for some reason.
Do you know the most disappointing one for me, and it's a kind of a weird one as well because I'm a huge fan of him, and he's absolutely one of the greats in terms of wrestling and stuff like that and all. And sadly, in talking about Goldberg and stuff like that, I'd allude to it and stuff like that. But for me, Bret Hart.
Yeah.
Bret Hart is just a sensational performer and stuff like that. But the mic always struggled for one reason or another. I know obviously different when he turned a bit heel and all that kind of stuff and all, but I always think he struggled at it. But what a wrestler and what a performer and stuff like that. But for me, when you look at him and you think about how Jim used to come in and do the promos and absolutely tear the whole room apart doing it and stuff like that, and the stuff he did with Owen Hart as well and stuff like that. No, what a mic guy Owen was as well, absolutely insane. And but there's so many out there. But when I look back and I think of one guy that I thought had it all in terms of the intensity and what he could do and stuff like that and how he could deliver. Sometimes on the mic, I think for me, Bret just fell a little bit short, but he was sensational as a performer. What a wrestler and stuff like that and all, But that would be one that sticks out there. Top three managers Keith came in with, I don't think it's hard to argue. Jim Cornette's there, Bobby Heenan's there. Slick for me would have been unbelievable as well. Especially Slick on the mic as well was really good. Classy Freddie Blassie was unbelievable on the mic. Captain Lou Albano was unbelievable on the mic.
He was dead.
Especially when he was managing the Bulldogs and stuff like that, was absolutely sensational as well. Yes, here, sensational Sherry. When she was managing Macho Man, talking about someone on the mic. He has to fit into this listing somewhere because she was absolutely, by name, was sensational as well. But she was a lunatic on the mic as well. I got to meet her as well. Lovely, lovely woman. Fabulous person. So yeah, they're the ones that kind of spring to mind at the moment. Kane on the mic was decent.
I don't know.
It was fine, I suppose.
Yeah.
Another one that came in my head, a fellow Canadian Niall who was an incredible wrestler, like Bret Hart, but also like Bret Hart didn't quite add up. Chris Benoit.
Who we're about to be talking about now in the
second,
actually.
Was never. But I do remember they tried to make him charismatic. I think it was SummerSlam 2005, I think. He opened the show and beat Orlando Jordan in 20 seconds. And from the minute he pinned him, they went to a split screen. So on one side the screen was the replay, and the other side was him live making a coffee backstage. Like walking up, like waiting for the thing to pop off. Yeah. Like that was good fun. But Benoit never, as good as he was in ring, never really matched on the mic.
The mic is only part of it, Romy. The wrestling was torture as well.
Oh yeah, Ronda, God.
That's Jimmy Hart as well. Jimmy Hart, obviously on the mic, on the megaphone.
Wait, on the worst? Are we talking about the worst still?
Oh yeah. No, he's
Matt Riddle.
on the. Yeah.
Matt Riddle
on the. Yeah.
No, he couldn't
what he's talking about.
Promo. Yeah, he was probably.
That was the point. He was out of his head.
Yeah,
I forgot what I was going to say, so I think I'm going to cycle off. That was really deadly.
Terry met Ramblin' Rabbit and said, "I think I'm going to call you baby bro." Like he was so off his arse, he wasn't even scared. I thought he was scared.
Yeah.
Baby bro.
Never in denial of it. Right, something that came up the other day as well, and myself and Bren were talking about it as well. But this, Sean, we'll start with you. Dave LaGreca was on the Busted Open radio show I love listening to. And he was talking about Mercedes Moné being the women's wrestler on the planet at the moment, basically.
Do you know, as much as I love her, I agree and disagree, as a wrestler.
Is this a party political broadcast or what here? I agree and disagree. Take one side or another, will you? I agree and disagree. Stop sitting on the fence. You're the women's boy on this podcast.
I'll make it easy for you.
Sean Fianna Fáil.
Like up front with Katie Hannon where they're having the boom mic handed out.
You just do split face from now on.
Just the mic coming down like
so we should. Yeah.
Minister.
I agree and disagree, in ring, just kind of a basic move set, there's nothing too special. I'd say the most special thing about her is her finisher, maybe, um, or her outfits. And I was always a Sasha Banks fan. Of course, I think Sean knows himself. I was absolutely devastated when she left WWE. Um, I was excited to see her in New Japan, but I was more excited to see her in AEW. Um, but Mike's skills just lacking. Like there's not much character. Like when they brought her into AEW, there was the whole CEO and, because she had a say in creative that she was someone special, it was kind of what they did with the Young Bucks because they were EVPs, that they were probably the most special tag team in the world in AEW, the big thing. And I feel like that's what they were doing with Mercedes Monet, trying to make her out to be a larger than life what refrigerator just right.
Gee bag.
Jesus Christ. E-bag.
Sound like
Jeez.
I'd
Renzo
like to
Rose.
say I haven't heard gee bag in a while, but
Whoa.
unfortunately I've heard it a few times over the past few months.
Renzo
And it's
Rose
all been
brought
on
it
this
back into
podcast.
Renzo Rose brought it back into Irish wrestling vernacular. He
Yeah,
called
there you go.
Martina that a few times.
Can,
Been in the
I
country
know.
too long.
I kind of feel though it's just one of those gimmicks that was brought in to be something big and kind of flatlined and fell back in their face, but, she's not bad. She's good. I was, as I said, I'm a fan of her. But are they putting too much titles on her? Yes. Give her one title that means something. Meanwhile, you've given her 5 titles. Um, Obviously the TBS title was kind of the secondary women's title in AEW. It was supposed to be their big title for the women, their mid-card title, obviously, and that has flatlined. Now it is nothing. It is one of 5. It's basically like action figures. She's just collecting them at this point. And
Mm.
what's the point holding it if you're not going to defend it or make anything big out of it, make something meaningful of it. So
Mhm.
yeah, it's pretty kind of debatable. As much as I love her, it's hard to kind of stand beside her or stand with her.
I find, and you guys can give me your comments as well. I find whether that there's a lack of depth to the character. I think it's very easy to come into the opposition federation, if you like, or AEW, and go in there and have an axe to grind and dance around and look all pretty and call yourself the CEO and stuff like that and all. But it lacks a little bit of depth. Like if you look at the character work that Tony Storm does, which is absolutely phenomenal on Soul Aired and stuff like that. When you look at Mercedes Monet, it just lacks that little bit of depth. And then when you go into the ring work as well, the ring work tends to lack that little bit of psychology kind of depth that you need in there as well, that makes you want to get invested in the match. So I don't know. Sean Mack?
No, I agree with what you're saying, Niall. I never found Mercedes or Sasha particularly strong when it came to character or microphone ability. And I think she's a very good in-ring wrestler. I think she's been great in AEW. But I think putting all the belts on her is excessive. Because when I know she's going to Rev Pro, I think in August. They're having their big Summer Scissor show in the hangar in Wolverhampton, so she's going to be there. But what about the other companies? Outside of AEW, when is she defending any of these belts? It just feels like excess. And if it's nothing other than look at her, she has all the belts, she's great, then why not give her one belt? She can be just as powerful and as dominant as she is if she had one belt. If she was just TBS champion or AEW Women's champion, that would be enough.
And defended it, and it had depth, and it was meaningful,
Yeah.
and there was storytelling instead of just walking in with all these belts and stuff like that. And I've said
It's
it before, even in the men's situation, when the men's have gone down the road sometimes with this belt collecting kind of gimmick and stuff like that, it's never really hit home or done well, or it's never felt like anything. Remember Austin Aries was doing it for a while, Kenny Omega was doing it for a while, no one gave a shit. You know what I mean? And I don't think, and it's less in terms of on Mercedes and stuff like that. I just think it's just, I don't know. It's just, for me, there's just something missing there, that spark. I mean, for a while in WWE, I would say she had that spark. and she was part of that evolution, and she was part of those that rise up that happened at that time and stuff like that, and she played a part in it. It's undeniable and stuff like that. But I think since the walkout, that kind of spark is gone, and now it kind of feels like she's shown up to work to do a job, and it kind of feels like it's not really what she wants to be doing. It's not really her focus, because she's kind of not, excuse the pun, all in on it. And my fear now is that Tony's going to have to lay down for her at All In, and that's going to be really sad, because she's phenomenal. Yeah, Bren.
I don't know. I've never been a fan of Sasha Banks. I thought she was overrated from the start. I thought she got carried a lot. She had a couple of good matches. Do you know what? She's a great example of people that leave WWE trying to prove that it wasn't the machine of WWE making them look good, and then exposing themselves when they leave the Fed. And that's exactly what's after happening here. She exposed herself, and all you have to do is give her a microphone. And I don't know if you're familiar with these references, but Days of Our Lives comes to mind. Fair City comes to mind. She has absolutely zero charisma, zero depth, careless sometimes in the ring, which is not a good feat at all, and doesn't deserve. She's basically living off a legacy she created and got a lot of help creating from the WWE. And even when she goes, do you know what? She's very, very much like Nikki Bella. Her and Nikki Bella, to me, are one and the same. It's copy and paste, copy and paste, and copy and paste. No, but it's true. It's true. It's copy and paste. I've no time for it. And look, the Dave fella from the podcast, I like listening to him. I like when he loses the head, but in this case, he's wrong. He couldn't be more wrong. And he must have been drunk when he gave that opinion, because he couldn't be further from the truth. Normally, I think, yeah, he's pretty spot on. But do you know what, Sean Mack, you brought it up a few minutes ago. You've got your mic skills and you've got your in-ring work. If you don't have the two of them, it's not good enough, and it's not good enough. She should have the mic skills and hatch, and she shouldn't be as careless in the ring. Sasha Banks, Monet, whatever her name is these days, she's not worth the paper she's written on. And her and the likes of Nikki Bella and stuff like that should be stricken from the wrestling record. They should be gone. Not good enough.
Jeez.
Sorry, I didn't.
Fuck it out.
Jeez, the arrows are coming. Yeah, I think what happens is she's getting paid a truckload of cash to take up a lot of time on a show, and it's quite empty. It's the deliverable isn't really there. And I don't know what it is. And that's just my view. Look, I want her to do well. I want them to do well and stuff like that. That's Steak Monet on Dynamite more over than her.
Like, I like her, but when you look at it, I'm happy she's won the titles, because I've always liked her, even from WWE to New Japan to AEW. I've always loved her. But like, you look at it this way, you're putting a title on her she won in, was it Germany or Austria? Like, that's
Yeah.
you're taking it a bit too far. When are you going to defend that? Like,
Well,
Unless
unless
you're going to go on the grind, then you're going to go back to those places and defend those belts.
And I think
it really doesn't matter, though, because the performer should be creating the belts, and in some cases vice versa. It's all pointless. And Niall, you hit the head. Go on, sorry.
Sorry, no, go ahead.
Belt collecting, not good, and especially when it comes to a talentless act like that. Sorry.
There we go.
No, I agree. Sean, I think you might agree when it's kind of like when they had Danhausen win the NLW title and drop it the next night. Like, when was he going to defend that? You know,
we have our own point
he
bomb
defended
on
the next night and lost it.
Yeah.
But yeah, get your point.
It's kind of.
Mercedes is better than in ring than Nikki Bella.
Hmm.
I'm not having that. But everything else, yeah. But then, like, saying like she should be like erased and she has no place, I think that's maybe a stretch too far. I know what you mean. Like, I'm not a big fan of her either, but yeah, it just seems excessive. Just give her one belt and she can still be great. If she's good enough, if she's as good as, as people say, if you take away any of those belts, she should still be good. If you need 6 or 7, I don't know how many she's on now, like 5 or 6. If you need 5 or 6 belts, is it talent, or I need something to do? I need something to show that I'm as good as they say.
She's as much of a champion as I am the Winged Eagle the Winged Eagle belt holder. as I am a champion for having that belt behind me.
Yeah,
It's,
you have it behind you. You are the champion.
When you've that many belts that you need a second body to walk around with you just to carry them, it's getting a bit silly, to be honest. I don't know.
Strip her of all them and give her the women's world title. That's what I think. That's what I think should have been
don't
done.
give her the world title. Keep the world
Oh
title on
yes.
town.
no,
Stop.
Oh
not
well,
a chance.
yeah.
Are you trying to give me a heart attack?
Is it working?
I'll be very upset if that happens, but I know it's coming. But that's the problem. But
And Travis
I
Scott
will-
performs at her Texas entrance.
yeah, absolutely. Right, just
It's
one more
Snoop's
topic,
niece.
folks.
Sorry, go on.
Yeah, we've one more topic, folks, and then we'll hit a quick bit of history and stuff like that and get it people out of here. 2 things every year in my wrestling calendar that I look out for that come up that are touching to me and they hit me in a certain kind of way. One was the passing of Eddie Guerrero, which every year saddens me every year since it's happened. And the other one is this, obviously. I was a big fan of Chris Benoit. And today marks 18 years. And this was 18 years today. Obviously, it kind of happened 2 days ago. But 18 years today was when everything was kind of revealed as to what actually happened. 18 years on. Sean O'Rourke, thoughts?
God, 18 years. Well, I think this is kind of a historic moment nearly for wrestling fans anyway. Every wrestling fan knows of this and is saddened by it, and such a tragic story, and obviously for such brilliant wrestler and character Chris Benoit was, it's sad to see the way things went.
Yeah, absolutely. Sean Mack?
I mean, I don't really know what else there's to say about this. I can't believe it's been 18 years. I struggle a little bit to talk about it because even though I loved Chris Benoit, the wrestler, I still think he's one of the best to ever do it. I still think his matches are great. It's very hard to differentiate because, like, Paul Heyman put it very well. I remember he was doing an Inside the Ropes show in the UK. He was talking about Benoit because he was talking about his history in ECW because Benoit was over there a fair bit, and someone kept going, "Oh, that's my boy, that's my boy, that's my boy," and then he goes, 3 people died in that house. 2 of them didn't have the choice. And it's absolutely horrendous. Because I remember, like, you hear interviews saying, I remember Chris Jericho said, if you were to put the whole roster at that time against the wall and say who would do something this horrible, no one would have said Benoit. And rightfully so. Like, he was a family man, loved his family, loved his wife, loved his son, was a consummate professional, an incredible wrestler. And it absolutely shaped wrestling for the better and for the worse. For the worse, because obviously 2 people who didn't have to die died. And it ended the Attitude Era, not the Attitude Era, Ruthless Aggression Era, and it went to PG. But that's not really like here or there. That's not the worst part. But it did lead, and this wasn't just in wrestling, but all combat sports, it led concussions and CTE protocols to become much more serious and much more important. So that meant that that incidents like this can be prevented. And I knew what happened, but I only realized how bad it was when I found out that when they did the autopsy on him, they found that no alcohol was in his system. So it wasn't a case where, like, he, got drunk and then did this, but he had the brain. Hear this. He was like 30. Was he 37 or just under 40?
40.
40, right? He was 40 years old. And he had the brain of an Alzheimer's patient that was, I think, about 80 years old, 83 years old, which is absolutely so fucking alarming.
Yeah.
Like, for that to happen, like, that was steroids. Like, I know it said nothing's found in the system, but that didn't help. The chair shots to the head don't help. Like, I love a good chair shot to the head, but I have to kind of second guess myself when I'm watching back and all stuff and say, like, it's great, but man, I don't really miss it. Because I think what happened to Chris. So yeah, an unbelievable wrestler, but it's very hard to separate. I'm totally willing to separate the artist from the art. conversations. There's
Yeah.
people who've done bad things, authors, actors, musicians, and people can still enjoy their music. And I am able to do that with Benoit. As I said, I'm still able to watch his matches, still able to enjoy stuff, but I know a lot of people aren't, and that's okay.
Tell us this: how do you feel when you're watching one of his matches? Like, let's suppose you put on WrestleMania 20, which for me, the three-way was the culmination of his career, really.
Yeah. Well,
And that moment in the ring with Eddie and the confetti coming down and the lights, and to see the two of them, two guys who never thought they could transcend the business, the big man's business, and do the unthinkable, and they both did it, and they were there for each other. They were brothers, and they pushed each other along, and they did all these things, and sacrificed themselves for our entertainment and to be successful in the business. How do you feel when you're watching it? When you're sitting there and you're watching it, how do you feel? What goes through your mind?
Well, for me, Benoit was a little before my time, so I don't have the emotional connection as someone I grew up watching, like you and Bren probably would. I found him through my DVD days. I say days, so I still collect shit at DVDs, but I found him through watching the DVDs I have that had him on it, and I was incredibly impressed. But because I don't have that connection, I can still watch it because the matches are still incredible. Because I remember Jericho said Chris was never like that until the day of. There was no signs or anything really that was pointing to him kind of turning down that alley. But one DVD I haven't gotten, I don't know if I can go through it, but actually, believe it or not, Night of Champions from 2007, because he was meant to face CM Punk for the ECW Championship. He no-showed for some reason, and then we found out that this was why. Yeah, it's an absolutely horrible, awful situation, and it's even sad. It's even worse when you talk about Mania 20. That ended with him and Eddie celebrating, because I think Eddie won the World Heavyweight title beforehand. But the worst thing is he was celebrating with his kid that he would murder 3 years later. It's so fucked up, and it's genuinely so upsetting. But I'm glad. I'm not glad. Well, I am glad, but I'm glad that his death and what happened means that we can protect each other more. That, as I said, CTE and brain damage and stuff is taken incredibly seriously.
Greater understanding of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Even a concussion can add up. If you get a couple, too many of them, it's really bad. Your head is a very, very important part of your body, and so is your brain. And you know what to say about bodies? You only get one. If you destroy it or something happens, that's it. You can't get it back. So take care of yourself and just be good people. And rest in peace to Nancy Benoit and Daniel Benoit, two great people who didn't have to die the way they did that day. One of the Public Enemies. Yeah, I think so, because they were in ECW together. You talk about the tag team, aren't you? Public Enemy, Rocco Rock, and Johnny Grunge. I was thinking Public Enemy, the rap group, like Chuck D and Flavor Flav. I don't think.
Oh, was I actually?
I wouldn't think so. No. Raven's doing. Yeah, I think Raven actually didn't he testify with Vince for the steroids trial? I don't think that was about CTE.
No. They tried to bring this. They tried to bring the CTE lawsuit, didn't they? And then it collapsed. Yeah, because they were all trying to come together as one to bring a case, and it ended up that they'd all have to go down individual legal routes, and then with costings and everything else, and all it just collapsed and went away, as far as I know. Yeah, Brian, for you.
I'll keep it real quick because I know we're wrapping up. But funnily enough, just on what Sean said, I watched one documentary on it, and one of the advisors said that had he not have done that, he probably only had about 6 months to live anyway, based on the state of his brain, which is fascinating to think about. To answer your question that you put to Sean there a few minutes ago, how do I feel watching them these days? It feels weird, if I'm honest with you. I know that might sound a bit extreme, but when I see him on the screen, I think, what in the name of God? Because when that was announced, I actually didn't believe it. I was like, there's no way he done that. As if, and I'm never met the man a day in my life, but as if I knew him. Because we get so involved with these wrestlers, we get so involved with this wrestling product, we almost think that we know them inside and out. And for a good while, I was like, there's no way Chris did that. He was framed, which is a mental way of thinking. That's how invested I was in it. So it's a horrible time. I've got kids myself, and it's to think that he could do that. It's just unthinkable, and I can't look at him in the same way that I used to look at him, because I think of the Boston Crab over the ladder with Jericho and all that, and the stuff he did outside of that ECW and all that. But like that, separating in this case, I can often separate the art from the artist, but in this case, in all honesty, I don't know why. I just get a bit. I get a bit weird around it, so I tend not to watch it that often. So that's just where I am. And look, it's a very sad time, and like that, I get when that image came up on the screen, I got a bit of a shudder because I hadn't seen the image. So that's just where I am on that.
Yeah, absolutely. It was interesting for me as well, because it was kind of strange, because at the time I was heading over to Florida quite a bit. I was going to TNA pay-per-views and stuff like that at the time. And when I found out about Chris's passing and the family's passing, I was in a queue to go into a pay-per-view for a TNA. I can't remember which one it was. And funny enough, when Eddie passed away, I was also going into a TNA pay-per-view in Universal Studios as well. So it was kind of weird. So I dodged them. I think either the Eddie or the Chris one, I was going into one, and it was Christian's debut. I think it was a Final Resolution or something like that, if I'm right. My mind is right. I think it was Final Resolution. And I think that was on the verge of one of them and stuff like that, and people couldn't believe it. We were in the queue, and the way they used to do it was 900 people. They used to queue up, and the first 900 people got in because that's all it could hold. So if you were inside that 900, you were getting into the pay-per-view. But I remember the talk just going through about Eddie's passing and Chris and all this kind of thing and all. It was crazy at the time, crazy. Real shock. I was such a fan of both those guys. And as Keith said earlier, where do you think they would have ended up? Both guys would be kicking ass in the Performance Center right now, I would say. Yeah. Roll me. I was 9 when Ben Mall died. Crazy, absolutely.
Wow.
Touchy Brad. Yeah, absolutely.
I was 3.
Who was Ben Mall's last match? Does anyone know? Can't remember.
I think
Elijah Burke.
Elijah Burke on WWECW. And one of the sad thing, that was go home for the show, and Punk came out, posed with the belt, and I think Joey Styles on commentary said, "Punk defending the ECW championship against the future Hall of Famer." I'm like, man, if only we knew.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Right. Let's lift it up a little bit and go through a little bit of history. Obviously, Chris is in there from 2007 and what happened, so we don't need to go through that, but we'll run down history, and we have some birthdays in there. So we'll start off just for you, Sean. 1994, Sabu defeated Cactus Jack in the main event of ECW Hostile City Showdown in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
I have that show. It's absolutely shocking. Don't bother. The whole first half is taken up by like a gangsters Dudley Boys feud that runs into like 5 matches. It's horrible. Yeah, but that's a great match. Sabu and Cactus Jack are like.
I'll throw those 5 copies in the shop into the bin in the morning. Then yeah, thanks.
6 iPhone here.
2002, former WWE champion Bret Hart suffered a stroke as a result of a blood clot caused by falling from his bicycle near his Calgary home. Remember it well when it was announced. 2007. I said that already, Chris Benoit. 1990, the Legion of Doom, Hawk and Animal made their WWF television debut in a squash match at the TV tapings for WWE Superstars of Wrestling in Dayton, Ohio. What a tag team. 2008, the Ultimate Warrior took part in his first professional wrestling match in 9 years. Speaking of collecting belts, in 9 years, when he picked up a win over Orlando Jordan in Barcelona, Spain. The match was for the New Wrestling Evolution Heavyweight Championship. Warrior vacated the title immediately after the match and would never wrestle again.
Instant classic.
There you go.
That's the point.
1992, the Nature Boy, Buddy Rogers, the original Nature Boy, passed away peacefully, age 71 in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Rogers was one of the biggest wrestling superstars at the beginning of the television wrestling era in the early 1960s, and he influenced many professional wrestlers, of course, including Ric Flair, who used Rogers' nickname, look, and his finisher, the figure 4 leg lock.
One of the best heels ever.
Yeah, absolutely.
And actually, apparently, this man's favorite wrestler, Andy Kaufman, he was getting into business. His favorite.
What a
wrestler.
T-shirt! What a reference!
Yeah. What a legend! Best women's wrestler on the planet.
And something that we spoke about earlier, 2011, R-Truth defeated WWE Champion John Cena in a tables match in the main event of WWE Raw from Las Vegas. And hence we got the pipe bomb. There you go. We touched on it earlier. And the way the history revolves around the show is it's pretty cool the way it just naturally happens and stuff like that. I'll take a few comments and then we'll come back to the birthdays. Where are we? Cheers, man. Romy. Sabu still shocks me. He's gone. A man who stuck to his guns and never changed for anyone. Mad respect. Absolutely. Rest in peace, Sabu. Orlando Jordan and his moisture cream on TNA. Fucking hell. It gives me Vietnam flashbacks. Remember you had Eric Young dressed up as the angel with the wings as well and all. Remember he used to be his little go-to guy and all. Good Lord. Looking at Benoit's son breaks me, man. I just think of my own son, pure innocence and happiness. So
100%.
And Benoit's son, not Daniel, David, actually wants to wrestle as Chris Benoit Jr.
And he has his face as well.
And he's a really nice kid, obviously means well. Nothing that happened was his fault, but I don't see that happening. No. Chris Benoit Jr.
Just got my tickets to meet Sting and Kevin Nash in October for Comic-Con. Can't wait. Very nice, Keith. Like that.
Deadly.
Is Sting still in the paint?
Yeah, he's doing it for this year only. Is it not this year only?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
It's his last year doing it. After this year, it's gone. And when it's gone, it's gone.
Yeah.
Orlando Jordan living in Australia now. The kangaroos are traumatized. Love it. Right, some notable birthdays and then we're out of here. 1983, one Brandy Rhodes. Happy birthday. A man who I was due to meet, never got to meet, and I got a custom Funko Pop made of him to get signed. One Tiny Lister, Zeus, 1958, who sadly passed away. 1978, the GM, Adam Pearce. 1988, a man who both boys here from OTT, or you guys from OTT are more familiar with, Mark Haskins, 1988. Yep. And, of course, the teacher that we dropped earlier on the show, Matt Stryker, 1970.
Yes, I was right.
Can I just throw something in, speaking of OTT, in terms of best people on the mic? I'm just going to say be cool, okay?
Oh, yeah.
I'm just going to leave that there. Yes. And we'll,
yeah. And speaking of OTT, to butt in, they're touring. They're going to Offaly, Kerry, Belfast, Limerick, Dublin, Kildare. And guess who's in Limerick? None other than Super Crazy. He's going to be in Limerick in the Strand Hotel. No
out front cutting the grass on the ride on, is he?
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
The Mexicans. Remember that?
I don't know how they're going to get a lawnmower on a hotel carpet, but we'll see.
They must have been paying those guys great money to get away with that, wasn't it? How much money were those boys getting paid to go? Yeah, I'm all in on that. Bram, before we go, today marks 1 year since the beginning of the run of the Wyatt Six.
Yes. And it's only now, and it's only from next week are we going to see the bloom of that. Now, look, I don't mind saying it, and again, I know we're wrapping up, and I kind of wish I brought this one up earlier, but I think if they do it right, if they go in the right direction, and I think they are slowly but surely, but we are impatient as wrestling fans. I'm impatient, but I think they're going to go in the right direction. Like I'll say it before, I'll say it again, Cape Fear. That's the direction they need to go. They need to study that. I am confident about the Wyatt Six. And look, we'll talk. Do you know what? We'll review the match next week. And we'll have a bit of a breakdown about it. But I think great start, fell down in the middle, and slowly coming back. That's where I am on that.
So now we've just gotten over the whole Benoit thing for the last 20 minutes. You want wrestlers to become like Max Cady.
Yes.
Essentially. Try sell that to me. Come on.
I mean, you backed me into a corner.
Sell that to me. Like I'm trying to keep a dry eye here talking about Eddie and Chris Benoit and stuff like that, and you're selling me now. I want that Wyatt Six to turn into Max Cady.
I'm telling you now, look, I'm confident. As I have the t-shirt, I'm repping obviously the t-shirt that I bought in a small small shop, Stephen's Green, top floor to the right beside Ashley called Wrestling Mania. This is the fit that I have this week, and it's all about the Wyatt Six because I'm confident about the future.
And isn't
in
there
fact,
like a discount or something? If you say you listen to the Up Tier
Westlife.
podcast, you get 20% added to your order.
What's this small shop? We're the arnots of professional wrestling in this country.
You're damn right
Oh,
you
yeah.
are. The greatest wrestling shop in this country.
The
Hands down.
cornerstone.
The best wrestling shop in Stephen's Green Shopping Centre.
The wrestling shop that boasted Chris Jericho, that boasted James Storm and other wrestlers as well. I was there to see them. Incredible stuff.
And boasted the two Sean Bros.
Yes, I was
obviously,
just
like,
about to
true.
say that.
The
Yeah.
Can we
lineup
just
is
go-
there.
See, Roll Me is what does anyone remember Nathan Jones? Yes, there's
Yeah,
a
of
bomb in my
course.
shoe. What a guy. That's how he got detained. There's a bomb in my shoe. What was he on? He was on crack when he said that.
The second coming of Niles, huh?
Actually,
Way
great
worse.
show. Now, I want to see this comment. Why it's 6 hours dry as a loaf. First of all, a little known fact about good old BR here, right? About good old Bren here. I eat all my sandwiches. I eat all my sandwiches without butter. I eat my bread dry anyway. My bread dry anyway.
You're probably one of those guys that cuts the crusts off as well, do you?
I love the crust, and sometimes I eat the crust on its own, and then that's irrelevant. My eating habits are irrelevant.
That's for the other show.
I'm disgusting.
yeah.
I'm disgusting Sean O there. Sean O's like, what are you doing?
Cooking with Sean and Brad. There we go.
Look, this is the last thing I'll say in the Wyatt Six. In a few months' time, and look, if I have to eat crow, I will, but I highly doubt I'll have to eat crow on this one. In a few months' time,
you'll be eating
like,
crow, don't worry.
In a few months' time, I'd say about November, December, it'll be like, do you know what, Bren? You are spot on what you said. Come on, Raul.
You've lost a few fans here tonight now.
We're normally like this, Raul. We're normally like this.
I'm with Bren on this one.
Yes.
Oh God, here we go.
I gotta be honest.
Here's the guy chiming in from the bleachers. Come on. Come on. Chime in.
We're gonna have a different conversation next week. We'll all objectively review the match next week. I think we'll put that in if that's okay.
Objectively now would be a stretch, but I'll do my best. And listen, I'm a horror fan.
I see the Jason mask.
My shoulder, yeah. So I'm a horror fan.
That's class. But
I just don't want my wrestlers wearing it.
But wrestling's a circus. There's a place for everything in wrestling.
Wrestling was a circus. Can't lean on that anymore to make up for shit situations. Can't go, but it's a circus. Oh.
Well, I mean, look, if you're going to have crap wrestlers like Nikki Bella, I'm very sorry, Seano, you may as well, and I've just lost another friend, you may as well stick on the Wyatt Six. It's a pick-a-mix. We'll touch on it next week.
We will.
I'm backing down here.
Well, until next time, folks, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification button, and drop a like on the video. I'll be back on Thursday night with Darren, and we'll be talking all things football and transfers and all that kind of stuff, World Club Cup and all that good stuff. So until next time, have a safe week. We will be back next week to dissect down Night of Champions. And as we said, hopefully all goes off safe, everyone returns safe, and it's all good. Hopefully that's what we're looking for. And as we said, we do really enjoy when wrestling is on early. It doesn't mess with our body clock, as we say. So until next time, folks, talk to you soon, and cheers a lot, lads.
Good night. God bless.
Good night. God bless.